Hello and welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. We're getting closer to the winter meetings. Things heating up in this winter time where it's a chill crossing the country right now. I even got my heat on down here, which I usually don't do this early in the winter, but cold out there. But
it's supposed to be 14 here Wednesday morning. It's going to be 21 tonight, 19 on Monday night, and then it's going to be 14 on Tuesday night. So that's really cold here for this time of year. Usually that's January, February, rather. If it does get that cold. Last winter it didn't get that cold.
Right. So you got anything for us today?
Well, I've got a few little notes. I think the winter meeting, I've heard two different things on the winter meetings, 8th through the 11th and 9th through the 12th. So I have no idea. It's one of the two. And I think next Sunday is the 8th. So it probably starts that Monday, I would think. But we'll have something after that. I have a few things. I also have the prospective rookies of the year for each team for 2025, who MLB thinks might be the rookie of the. Each team has a person that they think might be the rookie of that team and maybe have a chance to get rookie of the year. So I have those notes too, and if we have time to go over that.
Okay. I'm just trying to see. I'm looking right now to see when because I see the winter meetings are in Dallas.
Yeah, they're in Dallas, Texas. And I've seen it I've read it online that it was going to be the 8th through the 12th. I mean, the 8th through the 11th. And then I heard on MLB that it was going to be the 9th through the 12th.
8th through the 11th.
Okay.
MLB might be doing something 9th through the 12th, but.
Yeah, that's going to be starting next Sunday through there's speculation that Soto might sign before that, but I doubt it. But we'll see.
Right.
Anyway, Yusui Kikuchi, 33, signed a 3-year, $63 million contract with the Angels. I don't understand why they're doing that. I don't think he's that great. But, I mean, he did pitch pretty well for Houston after they got him from Toronto last year. He's 33 years old.
Well, they need something. Every year they just start signing pitchers and hoping
somebody hits.
Right.
And they've already signed a few different people. The MLB has canceled the games, the Major League games in Mexico and in Puerto Rico. They don't really have a reason for the cancellation in Mexico and Puerto Rico. They couldn't find enough sponsors to pay for it. So they didn't do that.
Really?
They've also canceled their game in Paris that they're going to play a couple of games in Paris this year. They canceled them for the same reason. They couldn't find sponsorship. They want everything paid for.
Right.
But the Dodgers and the Cubs will open the season in Tokyo, Japan. I don't think they have to worry about fans or sponsorship there with the popularity of all the Japanese players they have.
Right.
Blake Snell signed 5 years, $182 million with the Dodgers. So they got Snell. And they also gave Tommy Edman, who they traded for and got from St. Louis, who did so well in the World Series. He was the most valuable player in the World Series. He got a 5-year, $79 million from them. So they got Snell.
He was the most valuable player in the playoffs. World Series was Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Edman was in the what do you call it?
Yeah, LLCS.
Yeah. But he still had a good World Series also. So.
Yes, he did. Just not quite as good as Freddie Freeman.
And old Brandon Crawford, who won 2 World Series with the Giants, finished out his career with St. Louis. He's decided to retire. So he's going to retire.
You would think the Giants will sign him for that one-day contract so he can retire.
So he can retire as a Giant. Yeah, that would be the thing to do. Also with the Dodgers, minor league infielder Jose D. Hernandez has been suspended for the entire 2025 year because he took some enhancing stuff.
Right.
So at least that's what they found in his blood. So he's going to be he's suspended for the entire year. The Mets, they have a young infielder in their farm system. His name is I hope I can pronounce it right. Luis Angel Acuna. Is he Acuna's little brother?
Yeah. So that's who came up and played second base for him this year.
And he hit over 300 in a few games he was up.
Right. Yeah. And he came up and gave him an instant shot.
He is in the Venezuelan league this summer. This winter. He's playing down in Venezuela, and in 17 games, he's hitting 388, which is not too shabby.
Right.
And he's got he has 4 extra base hits. So the Mets might have something going there. Again, there's a whole lot of speculation on a bunch of stuff, but it got leaked somehow. Soto's agent, which is Boras, they're asking for a 15-year contract till he's 41 years old. He's 26. Till he's 41 years old, north of $600 million. It's also been reported that the Yankees have offered him a contract, $550 million tops. They capped it at $550. Now, whether that's true or not, nobody knows. But that's been leaked.
Well, I can tell you why it's leaked. Boras leaked it, so he can see who else is out there. That's all it is.
And another thing I heard was that the Mets, Boston, and Toronto were trying to jack the price up so the Yankees would overspend on him, and they'd keep him, but they'd pay a heck of a price, and they'd have a hard time filling out other parts of the roster because they didn't want to spend all that money. So you hear a lot of stuff, and who knows what's going to happen.
Right. That's why I don't, but since all that stuff last year happened, especially with Boras clients, I don't believe anything. Stuff.
No, you can't. When he signs, we'll know what happened.
Yeah, when he signed to show up to camp, that's when I know what's going on.
But I do know they said that the Dodgers have withdrawn their offer to him, and they're trying to re-sign Teoscar Hernandez, but it's right now it's the Yankees, the Mets, Toronto, and Boston.
I think there's going to be 2 other winner players that are going to really come out really well on this as soon as he signs, and those 2 players are going to be Pete Alonso and Christian Walker. So as soon as Soto signs, they'll know where the money line is, and then you got a guy, Pete Alonso, who's okay in the field. It's going to give you 30 plus home runs and 90 to 100 RBIs, and you got Christian Walker. It's not going to be too far behind that, but play a Gold Glove first base.
Yeah, so. and the favorite to sign him are the Yankees.
Yeah,
but what tickles me, what really tickles me is
if they don't get Soto, they'll probably get him and Bregman. Because Bregman from Astros.
Yeah, if you want my opinion, that'd be just as good. You got 2 players instead of 1, and Bregman's a very good defensive player also.
Right.
And Christian Walker's excellent.
Yes. Defensive player.
But you hear all these rumors, and it's hilarious because every time, the Yankees probably going to sign 25 free agents this winter because that's all you hear. Every time there's a free agent, he's going to sign with the Yankees. Oh, mercy. But anyway, we just have to wait and see. Anybody can speculate on things. I've said all along, I kind of expect him to stay with the Yankees because that's his preference. He may, who knows? He may go to Boras and say, "Hey, look, I'm not going to go for the biggest deal. I want to stay with New York."
I can live on $550 million.
$550 million. That's not a bag of peanuts. Come on. It just kills me. Oh, you got to sign with because they said the player associations wants all these free agents to go to the highest bidder because that raises all the boats. It raises all raises all the salaries for everybody and what they're going to be paid in free agency. So anyway, And now they're looking, now that Snell is off the board, now they're trying to see who's going to be next and with all the pitching and everything.
Yeah, and I've never understood that because there's got to be a cap somewhere, and I think we saw it last year. Where the biggest money, you thought those two, Montgomery and Sales, going to get the biggest money, and they couldn't because they're not what they are. What they were trying to portray them to be. I mean, the people that know the guys that tell the owner who to sign it know what they're talking about when it comes to baseball. You're just not going to pull a wool over their eyes. So, but Soto's young, got plenty of years. That's where it's a different story.
He's 26.
Right. You had Ohtani last year. Before that, years before that, Manny Machado, and the players were still young when they're getting these big contracts. Tatis, Harper, his big deal. They were younger than Trout. Once again, afterwards, it seems like they're still like it was just last year they signed those contracts, but no, it's been a few years now. Harper's been in Philly now for a good bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And my understanding is that Philadelphia is still interested in getting Trout. Although I don't know how much he's going to play. He's hurt all the time. And he's got the injuries he's having is in the same place all the time. So when you do that, it's just there again. From what I understand, Trout's family likes it in Southern California and stuff. So I mean, they may not want to leave. Because people forget most of these players are married and a lot of them have children. So if your kid is in a good school system and they're happy where they are with their friends and everything, you might want to stay where you are and not go to the highest bidder, because there are things more important in life than money. Money can only make you so happy. They can buy you a lot of things that can make you happy, but money is not everything.
Right.
And so, I mean, what's the old saying? Happy wife, happy life. I mean, if your wife is happy.
Trout wouldn't get any more money because he's already got the contract. It'd be just trading him and eating the contract probably. But, some of these, like we were just talking about Soto. Okay, 550. Yes, 600 million. That's another 50 million. That's a lot of money. But is it a lot of money to 550 to 600 and you want to be happy at one team or over the other? I don't know. I mean, to your point, that's, I know they look at that stuff, and I'm sure
he was a kid. He was a Yankee fan.
Right.
Well, he's been a Yankee.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people were Yankee fans when they were kids, but he always wanted to play for the Yankees. When he was with the Nationals, he talked about playing for the Yankees.
As much as I hate the Yankees, when you're a little kid in the backyard pretending like you're in the World Series, where are you thinking you're portraying that at? Probably Yankee Stadium, even though you might be the visiting team.
Yeah.
That's where everybody as a kid wants to play is Yankee Stadium.
When I was a kid, I was pretending I was in Ebbets Field.
Right. And I mean, or I wanted to be a Shea, but man, the biggest night, biggest lights, Yankee Stadium. That's
Yankee Stadium.
That's where it's all at, That's why I don't blame anybody for being a Yankee fan. It's tough. We were Orioles fans for so long because that's all we had on TV that it tends to put a bad taste in your mouth when it's the Yankees. But speaking of the Orioles, I'm interested to see. That's a team, as much as I like them, and yeah, I'm a little bit of a homer for them, but I want to see what they do in this offseason. They have to make some moves. They have to.
Well, they didn't make any really good moves at the trade deadline, and they blew up again, just like they did the year before.
Exactly.
They got to the playoffs, so they've got to do something. I mean, if they're not going to re-sign Burns, they've got to do something.
And they're so deep in the minor league system. This is
they could trade for Crochet or somebody.
Right. This is when you got to make decisions. Like you can't have 16 outfielders. You can't have 4 first basemen. You got to make hard decisions. You got to give up some of those guys, but you got to get something in return. So It's just I want to see moves from them. I would like to see the Twins make some moves. I think they're a couple of players away. They have to keep up with the Indians.
They got
and Royals are getting better.
The Royals and the Tigers are getting better.
Yeah, so that I want to see what happens in that division. That's going to be a fun division to watch.
That division is going to be the most competitive, just like this past year.
I'll be watching quite a bit of probably those games during the season when I can't watch my Mets for so many reasons. And, out in the West, I want to see the Mariners do something. I want to see, I think the Padres, if they just get, the Giants, I think both of them. I think the Rockies are trying to build from within. They had a couple of good young players turn on some, make some moves this year. I still don't understand the Chris Bryant signing they had made a few years back. That was very confusing to me. You let your Mr. Rocky go to sign another guy that's lesser than him, actually lesser, and you paid him probably about the same amount that you would have the other or not. I didn't quite understand that. Very, very confusing. Man, as an organization, I'm not an Angels fan. I would like to see Trout make the playoffs. Angels have to do something. Just anything. Like, do anything.
There's some things. It's like the Pirates. The Pirates, the fans in Pittsburgh are already wringing their hands because they know in a few years they're going to lose their pitcher.
Yeah.
Well, spend a couple of dollars and build around him.
If they don't build around him or re-sign him, I really feel like MLB needs to step in and do something. Because what do? You just can't let that it's such a historical organization to just let them sit there and be another minor league baseball team. Because that's what you're doing there.
Well, I saw this. I watched some of Colin Cowherd during the week when I'm eating my lunch because he comes on at 12, and he was talking. They were all happy and all that because their shows in L.A. and the Dodgers won the World Series. But he pointed out that there are only a few teams that can win the World Series anymore because they buy all the best players.
Well,
but then I said, wait a minute, Arizona and Texas. Arizona and Texas were in the World Series last year. Nobody picked those guys.
This past World Series is probably the first World Series I can remember in 5 or 6 years where that could be a statement.
Yeah, because they were 2 of the 3 top money teams.
Right. Because most of the time we always get surprises. We always have the Rays or somebody that's going to be a Moneyball team that figures it out.
Yeah,
and have a good.
But you can understand how a fan base could get upset because every time they get a decent player, they know they can't keep him.
I couldn't be a Pirate fan, and I feel so bad. I pull for him, right? I sit there and like I was looking last week.
I rooted for the Pirates back after the Dodgers went to the West Coast, and when Koufax retired in '65, I liked Roberto Clemente.
Right,
and then they brought in a bunch of those Latin players. I just like watching them, and so I rooted for the Pirates for several years. And they were in World Series. They won World Championships. But then, ownership changes, and then it depends on your owner. If they don't want to spend any money, they just want to make money.
They were okay in the '90s. They had Killer Bees, Andy Van Slyke, and
because they're the ones that the Braves beat out. They beat out. They had Barry Bonds. They were the ones that 2 years in a row the Atlanta beat out for the championship to get to the World Series.
Great playoffs.
So they're viable, but their owner now
was their manager.
Their owner.
Yeah.
So if you've got, come on, guys. You know what? When you buy a major league team in any sport, you know what you're getting into.
Right.
It's all money. So even in the NFL, where you have the hard salary cap, you can still maneuver stuff around so you can make signings. So you can take all right, let's say I mean, let's use Dak Prescott just real quick. I'll do football. He's got what? He just signed $60 million a year. So I don't know how much money.
Guaranteed.
Next year, he's got what, a $500 million contract or something? Give him $58 million signing bonus. Make it a bonus. Then it only counts a percentage against your cap and not the whole salary. And that way you'd have extra money if you want to pick up a couple of free agents. That's how you do that. That's what NFL teams do all the time. So you can't tell me the baseball teams can't do it. Oh, the other thing about the Soto contract is, and one reason I think the Dodgers backed out is because they said there's no way they were going to take deferred money. They want it for the life of the contract.
Oh, Soto doesn't want it deferred?
No, he doesn't want anything.
I thought I read that he did want it deferred.
Well, I heard just the other day on MLB that Boras said they didn't want any money past the length of the contract.
See, here we go. I know right at the beginning, Soto said he wanted deferred because he wanted. I mean, that's smart. I mean, really, I want it over the next 40 years. That's my retirement plan, right?
Well, look at it this way. If you're making a salary of $12 million a year, and you let them defer $8 million of it because you can live off of $4 million, guess what, guys? You're not paying taxes on $12 million for that year. You're paying it on $4 million. So it's going to save you in the long run with your taxes and everything. I mean, that's how you work all that stuff out.
Right.
And I mean, you're going to. When Ohtani retires, when he and Yamamoto retire, and I hope they play 10 more years. If they play 10 more years and retire, their kids and grandchildren and great-grandchildren probably won't have to work unless they want to have a career because there's going to be that much money coming in.
Right.
So, I mean, there's certain benefits to it. Now, I don't have anything else except I do have this thing about the rookies, and that's it.
What about the rookies?
Well, for instance, these are speculative. This is what they say. These are the guys that will be the top rookie or should be on their team this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do the American League this week and the National League next week. However we want to do it. Anyway, the Blue Jays in the East, they have a guy named Will Wagner. He plays all the infield positions except shortstop. He plays second, third, and first base. He was picked up from Houston in the Kikuchi deal. And so they made out with that. He hit 304 in last year in the minors, and he had knee surgery. He had to have knee surgery at the end of the year. In Baltimore, now this kid came up a couple of times and went back down, Kobe Mayo. He's a great big first baseman, third baseman. He slugged .592 in the minors.
I think that's the reason why their third baseman they didn't even try to keep Uranus.
Yeah, the Urias. He can't hit like this kid.
Yeah, so because I know first base, they'll probably still have. I know they want to play Rushman there more at first. So
yeah, they want to get him from behind the plate and play him either at first or have him DH. Of course, Mountcastle won a Gold Glove 2 years ago. So
I think it's going to be. You wouldn't move Mountcastle. They're going to have Hadley do a lot of DH, and I think, ooh. Yeah,
and Carson Williams for the Rays. He's 21 years old. He's a shortstop. He hit 20 home runs with 33 stolen bases in the minor leagues.
Who was his name? His
name was Carson Williams. And he's 21 years old. He's just a kid. And they think he's going to really he's in the top 10 prospects for the major leagues. The Boston Red Sox, Roman Anthony is an outfielder. He had 291. His slash was 291, 396, and 498. He slugged 498, and he had 21 steals in Double-A last year. And they think when he goes to spring, depending on how he does in spring training, he'll either go down to Triple-A for a while and come up, or he might just stay with the big club. And then the Yankees, and we've heard this name before, Jason Dominguez.
It's a big
And he's
dude.
an outfielder, and he hit 314 and slugged 504 in the minors last year. But I
He
saw
would
him.
have been up if he wouldn't have got hurt the year before.
Right.
He got
Yeah,
hurt.
and he came up and played a couple of games last year when they had a couple of injuries, and then he went right back down again. And then in the Central, Cleveland, Chase Delineator. He's from James Madison. He's an outfielder. He's 6'3", 235 pounds. I think he's a tight end too. But
He might have a JMU.
big guy. He hit 261, 341, and slugged 500 in the minors. In Kansas City, Noah Cameron. He's a left-handed pitcher. In Omaha, he had an earned run average of 232, and he's a starting pitcher. They think he might do some relieving if he comes up to the majors, but eventually they want him to be a starting pitcher. And he's left-handed. So right there, he's got a leg up. Detroit, Jackson Jobe. Here's another one I heard of last year. He had a little bit. He's right-handed pitcher. He's the top overall pitching prospect in the minor leagues. Top overall pitching prospect. He had 4 appearances last year.
And that's with Detroit, right?
Yes, with the Tigers.
So he comes up and he's with that pitching.
And he pitches the second game behind Struble.
Yeah.
So that's he had 4 he had 4 appearances in the majors last year. 2 he did well, 2 he got smoked. So, but he's just a kid.
Yeah.
And Minnesota, they have Luke Keoshaw. He's a second baseman. He also plays the outfield, and he's played some first base. Now, he had a OPS in the minors of 903. The problem is he had to have Tommy John surgery in August, so he may not play until partway through the season this year. And then the White Sox, yes, folks, the White Sox do have players. Colson Montgomery, a shortstop.
Man, I've heard that. It seems like I've heard that name for 4 or 5 years now.
He's 6'3", 225. He's a horse.
Yeah.
Now in AAA, he didn't do very well, but they said he was nursing a hamstring injury. He only hit 214, but they said he was nursing a hamstring injury, and he's supposedly over that. And in the West for the American League, there is the Angels. They have Caden Dana. He's a right-handed pitcher. He's 21 years old, and his fastball is only about 94, but he's got 4 quality pitches, and he can get them all over the plate for strikes. So that's what they're looking at with him is the ability to throw strikes and the ability to throw it with 4 different pitches. And the Whites, and then the Houston Astros have Jacob Melton. He's an outfielder. He hit 253, 310 with a 426 slugging average. He had 15 home runs and 30 steals in the minors. So you see what's going on. They got the bigger bases. These teams are going to these young, fast kids that can run because now people are stealing bases left and right. Because once you get to the majors now where you can't throw over but 3 times, the bags are bigger. You're on a pitch count, so you have only a certain amount of time before you can throw to the plate. You can't wait out the base runner. They want people that can run because stolen bases have become a luxury now. And that's another thing. The Yankees won the pennant and they went to the World Series, but they didn't steal many bases because they didn't have a whole lot of speed. Let's see, the A's. The East Sacramento A's. Jacob Wilson, shortstop. His injury slowed his progress last year, but when he did play, he had a 433 slugging percentage and he had 15 stolen bases. So here again, another kid that can run. I mean, that's what they have. Seattle, the team, I kid about him all the time, but I'm telling you that both you and I want to see him do something. I don't know why it is. I've always liked Seattle.
They're right on the cusp.
Oh, and they're always that close. That's why I call them Charger. Seattle has Tyler Locklear, first baseman. He has a career OPS of 874, 2.5 years in the minors. So they're thinking he's going to come up and play first base for him. And Texas has Kumar Rocker, right-handed pitcher. He had Tommy John surgery in 2021. Last year, he had a 196 earned run average in the minors. Minor league.
Kumar Rocker played at Vanderbilt.
At Vanderbilt, that's exactly right.
Him and Leiter were together.
Al Leiter's.
The Mets took him after the World Series they won. They wouldn't sign him because they found an issue with his arm.
Exactly.
So he went back to the Vanderbilt, and now he's finally making it with Texas.
Yeah, he finally making it with Texas, and they had
and everybody was like, "Oh, they're wrong," and then oopsie, he had to have Tommy John surgery. So
Now we can do the National League, or if you want to wait till next week,
we can hold off till next week, and
that'll work for me.
Get into that, and whatever moves are made this week or whatever you're hearing.
Yeah, and we can still look up,
speculate.
If I get a chance this week, I'll try to pull up some information on breakout players. That's very speculative also.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you've already hit a big subject where everybody was looking at last year was the stolen bases. And you don't have to hit 50 home runs to have 30 stolen bases. So, you get on base, you can get a second if you got speed and know how to run bases. There's a difference with having speed and knowing how to run bases. So,
yes, I mean people that can't run can run bases.
Right, and so that just let people know that, but that's a big deal. So we'll talk more about that next week, and we'll just end it there this week. So if that's all right with you.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I do have a yogiism this week because this is kind of cute. He went to buy a newspaper where he lived in New Jersey. He went to buy a newspaper, and he complained because the newspaper had gone up, the price of the newspaper, and he said a nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. That's how he thinks. And then when somebody said something to him about it, he said, "Well, how was I wrong?"
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah,
it was nice.
I got my drumstick. Yeah, that was good. I got your stepmom's dressing, which is the best in the world. So
that's right. So I hope everybody had a fun weekend. Didn't spend too much money out there, and we'll see you next time. Subscribe if you haven't, and any questions, please put them down below, and we will see ya.